Computerized Start is brought to you by my awesome patrons on Patreon, and by your tips and memberships on Ko-fi. These and other channel supporters make my live streams possible. You too can become a channel supporter with tiers starting at just $1. And as always, thank you for all your support, including sharing, chatting, liking, and subscribing. Now roll that famous logo animation. Good evening and welcome back to Computerized Start Live. I'm your host, Justin D. Morgan, and happy Mario Day. I wore my red shirt in celebration. See, even Roar says that his favorite character is Bowser. Which, considering he might eat me, I let him pick that as his favorite character. Mine, of course, should be no mystery. It's me, Mario! All right, let's see who we have in the chat, and I do apologize for the slightly late start, but I have only 2 computers signed into YouTube right now because I am swapping over computers, and one of them needed restarted because it was going so slowly. So it was pretty much I wasn't going to be able to give you all a warning until it was time to stream, and then I figured I might as well go live. So we have Mike's Future Retro. Hi, Mike. Yes, we got some repairs to finish. And one of the potential regrets has some things in it for the finish repair completion. We have Sadmac 356. Hi, Sadmac. We have CMD Big Mike. Hi, CMD or Big Mike. I guess it's CMD Big Mike. We have Jack68K. Hi, Jack. All right, so we got a new coffee goal because it is March. Link is in the description. I did not have a meeting go run long today. I did not sit awkwardly in a chair for 2 hours and then was afraid I was going to further injure my foot. If my foot, and I don't think I actually injured my foot, but it was painful to walk on it for a while because I had my foot twisted around one of the legs of the chair really uncomfortably. But anyways, yeah. Tonight was just the computer needed restarted and I was carrying potential regrets down to the basement. So how about let's just go ahead and rip that Band-Aid off the rest of the way, because we have to play this important announcement before we can... Oh, wait a minute. No, before we do potential regrets, I don't know how I missed this because it's a big red box in front of me. But before we do potential regrets, I have an item. This is in the category Things You All Have Given Me. And in fact, this comes to me from my friend Fred, who actually I know in person. So he actually gave this to me. It was a week or 2 ago, but we have an actual channel donation here, and this is a Novell NetWare box. And unfortunately, he said he could not find the NetWare discs, but that hopefully won't be a problem. But yeah, actually, let me set some of these down so we can. There we go. So I can actually open the box. All right. But anyways, inside the box we have a few items that are not NetWare, as you can see. But he had a few other computer parts to contribute. So I've got a DIMM. This is probably a... okay, I believe this is a... DDR2 SD RAM. 512 megabytes. PC2 4200. Alright, very nice. Those can come in handy for lots of things. We have a 72-pin SIM. Probably 8 or 32 megabytes. Looks like it might be a 32 megabyte. Very nice. I think there's another one floating around in the box somewhere. We've got a Western Digital 16-bit disc controller card. So this is, I think, looks like it was pulled from a Hewlett-Packard potentially. Or maybe not. I'm not sure. But that is a 16-bit card, so this may very well be RLL. WD1003-W82, I believe. We'll have to try that out someday, but not tonight. We've got the paperwork for Novell NetWare, including, I believe, client licenses. So that is really cool. I did tell him I believe the installed discs are archived, so even without the discs, we can probably still use this. Oh, actually, the licenses may be below this. We have a modem. That's actually kind of cool. A stacked modem with, what do they call these chips? They're like, because they've got the two sets of legs on each side. That's actually really neat. The modem is probably not that fast. I do not know from the part number how fast the modem is, but anyways, it's kind of neat how it's stacked. This may very well just be like a 2400 or a 9600 baud modem. Kind of little computer archaeology here. All right, looks like we have an 8-bit Novell branded network card. So this is probably an NE 2000 network card would be my guess, if I had to guess what it is, but that is actually really cool. So this is probably NetWare compatible, and it's 8-bit, and it has a boot ROM socket. Very neat. And wait a minute, that is, oh, just a very big chip. All right. So network card, very cool. Let's see here. I have no idea what that goes to. That probably is not NetWare, but looks, oh, you know. Oh, okay. Well, we have the Ethernet drivers, so that's good. And that's the Ethernet supplement. And oh, a BNC network cable, Novell branded. How neat! And a T-coupler. Oh, there's the other memory module I thought was floating around. Probably a 4 megabyte. And another T-coupler. All right, so some nice network goodies. So thank you, Fred, for thinking of me. And we will have to try NetWare someday. Jack says, yay, there will be regrets. Yes, I have a feeling NetWare may be a regret. Sorry for that opinion, Jesse. Jack says, haha, I was picturing 3.5-inch floppies, guess not, lol. Yep. Well, I'll have to... Oh, let me put this other NetWare paperwork in the box. I guess these cards, too, so I don't misplace them. Anyways, we will... Alright, we will test these another day. Maybe the RAM I'll test on Dave's stream when my schedule gets back to correct. Which I think, yeah, my schedule's gotten all confused the past couple weekends, and so anyways, we will test those later. Maybe the memory I'll test during one of Dave's streams. But anyways, without further ado, though, now let's get to the following.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for our favorite segment, Wheel of Regrets. Here's your host, Dustin D. Morgan.
Hey, who comes up with these titles anyway?
All right. And we will just start with the... How about we'll start with this box? I think it's been sitting upstairs for a little bit. So, first item comes just from an eBay seller in Wyoming. I don't buy many things from the state of Wyoming. So hi to all my viewers and eBay sellers in Wyoming. Some people might ask why I don't buy much from Wyoming, but my response is I think you're setting me up for some type of pun or dead joke. All right, and the first thing I see is... something that was on the top of my desk. I don't know how I must have gotten it on my gloves somehow. So anyways, we have, all right, styrofoam and plastic bags, my favorite. And cardboard. And, oh, there we go. Oh, I think I remember what this is now. We might actually... Jack says, why? There aren't many people in Wyoming. Yes, you are... that is probably the real reason why Wyoming is one of the least frequent states I buy items from. There are not a lot of people in Wyoming compared to other states. There are other states where I could probably tell you why I don't buy from them that often. Alaska and Hawaii aren't exactly known for their technology compared to other states, but shipping's also more expensive. And I don't see a lot of technology listings from those two states. Although, now that I'm speaking about it, I'm sure the algorithm is going to show me loads of technology that I did not know existed in those two states. Just the fact of, compared to a state like California, which seems to be one of the top states I see eBay listings in the computer category, Alaska and Hawaii are not ones I frequently see. Wyoming is another one because it's a lessly populated state. Interestingly enough, I think I see Rhode Island more, and that's... Maybe it's I don't know what the population is of Rhode Island right offhand compared to other states. Anyways, we have a Maxtor hard drive that supposedly works, so we should probably put that to the test. Why would I buy a thing like this? Well, this is for my first PC rebuild. It's not quite the right hard drive, but it's close. Jack says, California and Texas seem to have a lot of eBay sellers. Yes, they do. And I think Texas is in that list because Texas had a lot of computer companies located there. I think for a while they were like second California for like computer hardware companies. Washington seems to be up there too. Probably due to the influence of Microsoft. And Oregon being close to Washington. Michigan's another one it's interesting. I see a lot of listings in Michigan. And then New York, in the New York State area, that one seems to be high up on the list too. Maybe because that's just a center of where technology would be concentrated on the East Coast. But anyways, yeah, it's a Maxtor hard drive. It will probably not last long because these were notoriously horrible drives. I want to prove how horrible before it decides to turn its horribleness on me. But I had a 71670A, and this one is the 71626AP. But it probably the manufacturer date's probably around the same time. I suspect that this drive might be the cylinder reduced variant. Jack says, I feel like there really are more listings in Missouri than you would think. Yeah, I know. That is kind of interesting. I am with you. I would think there'd be less there, but maybe there is some truth to St. Louis being the gateway of the the gateway to the rest of the country. Because I guess things go through St. Louis and the surrounding area. But anyways, speaking of states where there's lots of eBay sellers, this next item comes to us from Texas. So hi to all my eBay sellers and viewers in Texas. So we will go ahead and open this up. Now, I do have two items. I have several items upstairs, two of which I'm purposely saving for Thursday. Because I haven't had a chance to make the thumbnail for Thursday's stream yet. The other couple items I haven't bothered to bring downstairs. Although, depending on how far we get with the PlayStation 2, we may have a second Wheel of Regrets entry. Hi, Callan, welcome! We may do a second Wheel of Regrets later for the items that I just couldn't be bothered to bring down earlier, but not the two items I'm specifically saving for Thursday. Also, speaking of that, Thursday, if everything goes to plan, Thursday will be a Marchintosh stream. So, yay! That at least probably tells you what the two items upstairs are for. The two I'm saving for Thursday. Tonight's stream's kind of more the finishing something before we start Marchintosh. This might actually be the item that... I think this might be the item that arrived today. Because that meant it kind of naturally made its way onto the top of the pile. And we have a motherboard. And not just any motherboard. We have probably what is in all reality a cheap, kind of crummy motherboard. But this is a Socket 7 motherboard with a TX Pro 2 chipset with, wait for it, video inside. Which I have to say, I don't think so, because where's the video? Because there is no video header on this. Anyways, I believe it's actually an SIS chipset. Alan says, there might be a lot of sellers here in Texas, but they never seem to be close to me. Yeah. Oh, yes, the TX Pro 2 chipset, but I think it's actually an SIS chipset. Because around this time, there were a lot of motherboard manufacturers that wanted to make you think that their motherboard was the TX chipset, because that was the Intel 430 TX chipset, was a rather highly respected chipset. So they would kind of imply that their chipset was a TX chipset, like this. And the chipset might not be quite as distinguishable. Oh, also, that could actually be a video header if I'd go look at the manual carefully. That might actually be where the video cable would go. Which I don't have the cable, so, well, we will disable the onboard video if it actually is part of the specs of this board. But we have the Sound Pro HT1869V+, and I have read that this particular sound chip has one of the better OPL emulations of the PCI sound chips, so that will be fun to test. Jack is asking if the coin cell battery has any charge in it, and you asked that question, and my multimeter is still in my garage. I do need to remember to bring that back down to the basement, so we can't test this right now, but if I do go back upstairs later to grab the items I neglected, I will grab my multimeter, assuming I don't have to go grab it for some other reason. But anyways, yes, it's got built-in sound. Fortunately, it's an ATX, a mini ATX board, so it has all the sound ports on board, so I don't have to worry about not having the special cable for the built-in audio. But there we go. We have one ISA slot, 3 PCI slots, potentially onboard video if we can figure out the pinout. If that is the video port and we can figure out the pinout. It does seemingly have things in pairs of 3, or sets of 3. So that may be... Alright, I guess one thing we could do, I could pull that manual up on the RetroWeb real quick. Now that I actually have the board in hand. I tried looking it up. I think I know what it is. But now that I actually have the board in hand, I might be able to make a better determination. Because if I remember correctly, the photos on the RetroWeb for this board weren't the greatest, so it looks like I might be able to submit some better photos. But let's see here. This is a socket 7 board. I think this is an SIS chipset. This is a micro ATX form factor. And let's see here. We have one ISA slot and 3 PCI slots. And okay, there's a close one. Oh, there we go. Is that it? That looks like that one might be it right there. Let's see. All right. I think this might be the SIS or the PC chips. What was that? M596. Let's see how well I did with the match. All right, I see the Sound Pro. There's the Sound Pro chip. There's the TX Pro 2 heatsink. The IDE ports are in about the same size. Okay, this is slightly different the front panel header is not here on my board. It's here. The BIOS chip is down here. So this may actually be a photo of a different revision, maybe? This line drawing, though, looks like my board. There's the CPU socket, and then the socket's drawn backwards. Okay, this may actually still be the same board. Let's look at the manual, see if there's like a line drawing. One board 64-bit VGA. Graphics accelerator that shares sound, yep. Let's see, that is CN10. CN10 is the VGA connector. Oh, excellent. At least the manual has the pinout. If this is the correct manual. So it might actually be possible to make a VGA cable for the motherboard. Excellent. Just probably have to get a ribbon cable and a VGA connector and solder it up. Yeah, all right. So maybe we can test the onboard graphics at some point. Let me see if any of these other boards maybe... Here's an interesting one. BIOS J9. Hey. Wait a minute. I don't think that has the same designator. Nope, that's not it. All right, so it probably is the M596 board. It's probably just a different revision. So, all right. That's good. Anyways, try not to hit yourself in the face with the battery. Yeah. Yeah, then I could... Well, if I do hit myself in the face with the battery, then I can charge this motherboard with Assault and battery. Thank you. I'll be here all night. All right, this next item comes to us from an eBay seller in, speaking of states with lots of technology, California. So hi to all my eBay sellers and viewers in California. And if you're thinking this looks like it might be another motherboard, well, let's see. But there's a good chance you might be right. At least they used an Amazon... Jack says, ha ha ha, yeah. Hi, Thomas, welcome. We have another motherboard. We have what I believe, what the eBay seller said, is a sealed motherboard. I did not buy it for the quality of the brand name. I bought it because it is a sealed motherboard. That definitely looks like it's probably been sealed. I mean, granted, could someone have added this after the fact and we'll find that it's been robbed? Yeah. But I'm pretty sure it's a sealed motherboard. Back in, whenever this label was printed, it was $49.99. And I think I paid more for it because it's now 2026. But yes, yeah. Jack says, enriching your PC experience. Catchy. Yes. Support Sempron 462. VIA KT600. F7 FSB 400. Supports AMD Athlon XP, Sempron, Athlon, Duron processors. AGP 8X, A7 FSB 400, DDR 400, Serial ATA, ISO 9001, ISO 14001, CE mark, FCC, some check mark I see on lots of old stuff. Made in China. Don't steal my serial number. Let's see here. What are kind of some of the callouts on the box here? Supports the latest 400 megahertz front side bus AMD Athlon XP CPU. Awesome. DDR4 enables bandwidth up to 3.2 gigabytes a second, providing an enhanced system performance. Hopefully the motherboard doesn't have to take a drug test after that. AGP 8X 3D, AGP 3.0 enables enhanced graphics performance. This thing might not be able to compete in the Olympics with all these enhancements. Performance with high bandwidth speeds up to 2.12 gigabytes a second. Twice faster than AGP 4X. All right. Socket Rich says, it's a recap in a box. Yeah, sadly, they don't have that call out. All right, Serial ATA, ATA 133, obviously, so this is like an early Serial ATA board, so of course it has ATA 133 on it. USB 2, so, yeah, it's USB 2, woohoo. 10100 LAN optional. I'll have to look the label to see if this one has Ethernet, or we'll just leave it a surprise. 6-channel audio, overclocking. Definitely not before we recap it. Color map, color-coded pin headers and slots. Excellent. Bundled with PC Cillin, your internet virus wall. Yes, that term obviously did not get very far. Supports, oh look, this motherboard supports Adobe Acrobat. I'm glad I finally found a motherboard that supports Adobe Acrobat. I have been searching for 30 years, and now I finally found one that supports Adobe Acrobat. Yeah, virus wall. Hey, Gut Bomb! Jason, yes. It's Justin, he says. Yeah, we're looking at this, all the marketing claims on this ECS board. So this one has VGA, no. Audio, yes. Modem, no. LAN, yes. Okay, so this one does have the optional LAN. DIMM/DDR 0/3. So I think we have 3 DDR slots. ISA, PCI, AGP, CNR. So we have 0 ISA, 4 PCI, 1 AGP, and 1 CNR slot. Bomb's asking, is this your last stream before April? No, it's not my last stream before April. We got Marchintosh to celebrate. Oh. Jack says I was resisting giving him a hard time. Yeah, I have lots of things on my calendar, and I need to ask some people to... Oh, Gutbum says the YouTube schedule. Oh, okay. Oh, all right. I guess we can clarify that for a moment. Okay, so what I did, Gutbomb, is I pushed... I wanted to finish the PlayStation 2 because it was so close. I then pushed all the other streams out to April. I haven't scheduled Marchintosh yet because I gotta actually make thumbnails. Complicating that, I got a new MacBook Air, and I am reinstalling software on it because my old MacBook Air, I had uninstalled some of that software because it was not running properly, and it's licensed software that you can only install on so many computers, so yeah, you probably take a quick guess at which one that was. But yeah, I got to reinstall software and then decide which computer loses its license, and then I can make thumbnails. Gutbum says, I got a new MacBook Air last week. Well, mine's not exactly new, but in the grand scheme of things, it is the new hotness. It's got Apple Silicon. I finally broke down and bought an Apple Silicon Mac. Now, of course, I wouldn't mind having a Mac Mini, an Apple Silicon Mac Mini, but well, maybe someday someone might gift or donate one to the channel when they replace their Mac. But no, Jack, I didn't have an Apple Silicon Mac. I really am. I'm not kidding there. I was getting by with old Macs, and it finally got to the point where Open Core Legacy Patcher was, I was running into problems where the software wasn't running correctly, and I was attributing it to the software was starting to need instructions that weren't present on my MacBook Air. Because, Creative Cloud was running acceptably slow, but at least I was still able to use Photoshop. But Office was actually breaking. And I have all my files in OneDrive, so if I can't sync OneDrive, then I can't edit anything on that laptop because it's not going to sync back to OneDrive. So, SadMac says the newest Mac I have is from 2007. Yeah, Jack says I don't mean just because of software support. The Intel machines are just hilariously slow comparatively. Yeah, they are. So anyways, I finally broke down and I bought a used MacBook Air. It's got the M1 processor because I was looking at the new MacBook Neo, but I quickly realized I would not be happy with it because 8 gigabytes of RAM max. I do video editing on it. I decided, all right, I'm going to get a used M1 MacBook Air, M2 if I can find one for a good price, but I could not, so I went with M1. It has 16 gigabytes of RAM and a 1 terabyte SSD and a few cosmetic blemishes. And I think I got it for like $450, and it's eBay refurbished. eBay didn't refurbish it, but it qualified for eBay refurbished because the seller refurbished it. So I got a free 1-year warranty with the purchase. Although probably technically I was paying for the warranty as part of the purchase. But yeah, I bought it because I thought $450 was a decent price for it with the 16 gigs of RAM and 1 terabyte SSD. I was looking at comps and I really couldn't beat that. And then I get a 1-year warranty, so that's nice. So, yeah, it's not perfect, but it's upstairs. I'm reinstalling software on it. So, yep. That was like the one thing that's a potential eBay regret that I didn't bring down here because it's got, like, personal files on it. Like, my personal files now. But, yeah, anyways, so now I should be, Office is running correctly on it. Because, I mean, Microsoft is keeping it up to date for Silicon Macs. Creative Cloud should run on it no problem. And in fact, I think at this point, I think Adobe has most of those apps compiled natively. So, and my goal over the next year or so, because my Creative Cloud's about to renew, but I'm going to try to get the retention offer. I'm going to switch over to using the Apple Final Cut and Motion instead of Premiere Pro and After Effects, but I don't have enough time between now and the end of my subscription to like make sure I have all the projects in flight edited. So, yeah, Adobe is going to get 1 more year of me subscribing, but then that's it. I'm hoping by the end of a year, I have switched to something that I have a permanent license for. Soccer Ranch says, realizes she's the weird, uses Linux on everything person in the room. And I totally respect that. I just have not. I guess I am so invested in Mac software that I use programs that aren't available for Linux, and that's kind of my hold up. But I totally respect anyone that can use Linux as their main operating system. I do have a laptop with Linux on it, and I do from time to time use it, and it is really nice. Hey, Garth, welcome! And Mike's Future Retro, welcome. Yeah, Mike's Future Retro says, I refuse to be a slave to Adobe. There are enough alternatives out there now. It's easily possible. Same with Microsoft Office. Yeah, I want to, but I need to convert files before I completely switch away from Adobe. And I know definitely now there's totally good alternatives to the Adobe apps. So I am just going to completely switch over to, I might switch over to DaVinci because its free tier is like really nice, but I do have a license for Final Cut. So Capbomb says, I switched to using pages and numbers on my Mac. They're fine. Yeah, I still might pay for Office because there are some things that I do that I really like having some of the Office capabilities. Like the fact that I have the non-AI, like, individual subscription to Microsoft Office, so I'm paying only like $6.99. Capcom says, I use mail.app. Yeah, I use mail.app too. So, in fact, when I installed Office on my MacBook Air, I did not install Outlook. Jesse says, my last employer thought every manager needed Adobe Acrobat Pro. Oh, yeah. Hi, Jesse. If I didn't say hi, welcome. I think, was there anyone else that I saw? Oh, Socket Wrench is asking people spend time on thumbnails. Well, I spend time on thumbnails. I don't know if it helps, but I want to think it helps. Gupom says, this motherboard would be perfect for it then. It has onboard support for Acrobat. Yeah, for anyone that missed that before I go to the last couple boxes. Yeah, this motherboard supports Adobe Acrobat. And no, you're not imagining. That does say your internet virus wall. I cannot make this stuff up. Anyways, there you go. I'm thinking this may actually be meaning they've bundled Acrobat Reader with it, but, I mean, it does make it look like it supports Adobe Acrobat. Yeah, PC Cillin. Yeah, I will not be installing that bundled shovelware. All right, our next item comes to us from an eBay seller in an unknown state because I opened the box like a kid on Christmas when I got it and have now forgotten where the seller is. But it's kind of appropriate that I brought it downstairs for Mario Day, but I bought a NES backpack so I could have a cool, geeky backpack to take to VCF East. So, there we go. Thank you, RetroTech Chris, for being a, for buying one and then putting pictures on social media so that I could buy my own. But anyways, it's actually kind of a neat backpack. So, it actually has, like, 3D rubber accents on this side. And there's our zipper pocket with the nice pull, NES controller pull. Sadmax says, like, I'm over here thinking about the It's a Virus Batman meme with that name. Yeah, seriously. Anyways, so we got a pocket here, and then the main pocket. But what is really cool about this backpack? Does it have a game glove pocket? I don't think it has a game glove pocket. But the cool thing about this backpack is it's a flip pack. So if you can rock the NES look, but you can also turn it inside out. And that's why it's got the plastic thingamajigs here on the straps. so you can turn it inside out. And I don't want to dump the contents out because for anyone wondering if I remembered to bring PlayStation 2 games and a controller downstairs for testing tonight, the answer is yes. Yes, I did. Although almost didn't. But I stuck them in the backpack so that I didn't drop them. Yes, I now know that my NES backpack will self-destruct because I put a PlayStation 2 accessories in it. But you can turn it inside out, and you've got a whole nother look to your backpack. So it's actually really cool. Garth says, oh, I got it. What that whole, this could have been an email thing. Yeah. Yeah, it's reversible. So anyways, so if you see me at VCF East, I am going to totally be rocking my NES backpack. And the cool thing is, yes, if you turn it inside out, there is a pocket for the front, for the outside. So that actually means that you've got an inside pocket, like a little inside pocket. And yeah, they actually put the cool liner on the inside of the inside pocket. So, very nice touch. I don't know who made this, but I believe it is an actual licensed Nintendo. It's not a Nintendo product, but I think it is a licensed Nintendo, whatever they call it, somewhere on the tag here. Oh yeah, it was $70 when new. Yeah, here we go. It is an official Nintendo licensed product. So, there we go. There's the seal of licensing there from BioWorld. Spencer's. Oh, there we go. It was originally sold at Spencer's. All right. Probably just as well I bought it on eBay because I don't shop at Spencer's. I'm probably not their target market. But anyways, there we go. Jack says $70 new, so $150 regret pricing. No. Garth says, oh wow, Spencer's. No, I did not pay $150 for it. I asked RetroTech Chris what he paid for his so that I would have an idea of what to offer. And I think I offered like $45 for it, because that's what RetroTech Chris offered for his. And I'm looking now to confirm that I'm not telling a lie, because if you were to find one on eBay, that would probably be my the offer price. Yeah, I think I offered $45 for it. Yep, $45. And then with shipping and tax, it came to like $56. So, anyways, yeah, $45 was my offer price. And they accepted it, so. Oh, hey, Hardware Hacker, welcome. Anyways, if you see me at VCF East, there's the backpack I will be rocking. And, yeah. I'm gonna actually try to make some buttons to put on it. So I've got a button maker, and I was thinking of finding some pixel art of my favorite Nintendo characters, or my favorite Nintendo games, and maybe printing them with a retro printer, like an image writer or something, and then actually doing something with my button maker and making some custom, like, NES buttons for it. Yeah, so there you go. I'll be wearing my hat too, but so that I have something I can put things in to carry around, I bought an NES backpack. So yeah, I thought, since I realized it was Mario Day, I figured it would be totally appropriate to show that off today before I completely forget to show it. And then yeah, Garth says that's awesome. Just need some parachute pants to match up. Yeah. Oh, okay, we've got two more potential regrets. But yeah, I had the backpack on top of them. I'm opening them in order that I have them stacked up. So anyways, let's get back to the stack of boxes. This next item comes to us from an eBay seller in Missouri. Yeah. I was double checking in my mind whether MO was Missouri or something else. Yes. So eBay seller from Missouri. Speaking of states that have a high number of technology sellers in them, so hi to all my eBay sellers and viewers in Missouri. Yeah, it was kind of one of those. If you missed that, I was basically commenting when I was opening the first item that I hardly ever buy anything from Wyoming. But I had managed to buy something from Wyoming, because Wyoming's not a very populous state. Oh, yes, I think this is the item I alluded to on my last stream, whenever that was, like, last century or something like that. It is a Super Socket 7 motherboard. Because reasons. Anyways, is this motherboard Adobe Acrobat enabled? We will never know because it's not in the box. But anyways, we have an AT Super Socket 7 motherboard, and this is totally going in an AT case. And I think this one I'm going to pair with a Sound Blaster Live of some sort that I've got a live drive for, because that's kind of the era I'm going for. And I'll kind of thinking maybe a GeForce 2 MX or something. Anyways, yeah, there we go. Probably also will have to recap this because I am not sure those are the best caps. But anyways, I have a build in mind for this, which is why I picked it up. This is the board that I was waiting for my refund from returning something to buy it, and I had an offer waiting from the seller, and the postal service did not scan the return box. Well, they scanned it when I dropped it off, but their system did not update for like 4 days. Luckily, it was still available when I did get the refund credit when the post office system finally updated. And welcome, Sylvestron. Yes. We have one last potential regret, and this is how the box arrived. So, this item comes to us from Washington State. So, let's see. I think I have hit nearly all the states I mentioned that have high concentrations of technology sellers on eBay. Washington, California, Texas, Missouri, and then that one item that came from Wyoming. I want to say the backpack came from Maryland, but I don't exactly remember. There do seem to be a lot of technology sellers kind of in the in Maryland, Virginia, too. Jack says, someone hit that with a triangle-shaped hammer. Yeah, I'm kind of... yeah, that is an oddly specific pattern. And for anyone trying to guess what is in this box, I will give you a clue. Probably impacted into the corner of another box. Yeah, I'll give you a clue. I think you've seen this before. Sylvestron's asking, is it a VIC-20? Well, it'd be a VIC-20 pieces if it was. Hardware Hacker says, if that's a VIC-20. Jack says that must have been a sturdy other box. Yeah, I know. It's a motherboard. I'm hoping I don't see, like, a... Alright, it looks like whatever impacted that box did not, looks like it did not actually impact the motherboard from what I can tell. Because the board was in the box in such a way that it would have impacted the back of the motherboard, but I don't see any damage. Well, I see a scratch there, but I think that's, like, not related to the shipping, but it doesn't look like it goes through the solder mask. Anyways, we have we have another socket 462 motherboard. This one is a Soyo KT600 Dragon Plus 2.0. I bought this because reasons. Capcom probably knows, has a suspicion of what project this might be for with a comment like that. Yeah. Kind of one of my, yeah, it is a really fancy board. Purple PCI slots. There's our AGP slot. I think it's AGP8X. Purple PCI slots. That was kind of Soyo's gig. Caps that look expensive, but I'm not really sure they're, I don't know that they're actually, they're OST brand, so I'm sure they'll need recapped. They're probably one step up from the absolute cheapo caps that some of the board manufacturers used, but they are probably going to need recapped. Yeah, it has a media slot. They called it a CNR slot for, like, communications riser. Yeah, I know Gutbomb says, too bad it's not Mad Dog. I know, Gutbomb, it's Mad Dog. That Mad Dog didn't make motherboards. I can find zero evidence that they ever made a motherboard. It is quite disappointing for when you're trying to do a Mad Dog build that Mad Dog didn't make motherboards. But yeah. This board I think was, I don't remember what they wanted for it. I think I bought it as a backup to make sure that when I actually do start to make the video that I can finish the video. How's that for a reason to buy a board? Oh yeah, I think their buy it now price was $40. I think it was the reason. The reason I decided to buy a backup board for the build was it was $40. Jesse says, OST, at least we're not SunCon. Yeah. Gutbomb says, if they did, it would have purple PCI slots. Hardware Hacker says, purple adds extra megahertz. Yeah. Oh, you noticed the DIMM slots are purple too. Now, if you want to know what's really Mad Dog, and more in a maddening sense, there are some of these Soyo Dragon boards that go for, like, stupid expensive money. The socket 462 ones seem to go for reasonable prices. Or can go for reasonable prices. So anyways, the buy it now price on this one was $40. It is 400 megahertz frontside bus compatible. It's got the correct VIA chipset on it. I think the VIA chipset that has the silver, I kind of seemingly think this might be a built-in heat spreader over top the Southbridge chip. I think this is a good clue that it's definitely is not the correct word, but probably a 400 megahertz frontside bus compatible board. I think you do have to check revisions of the chip, because I think there was a revision of the VIA chipset that actually could not do 400 megahertz. But this board can do 400 megahertz, so no problem there. Hardware Hacker says, actually, what's maddening to me with this board is that the CPU socket isn't purple. Yeah. Hi, Francois. Welcome. Yeah, I know. Look at this. They go through the trouble of sourcing purple PCB slots and purple DIMM sockets. And they go with a cheap AMP socket 462. They couldn't bother trying to get a purple CPU socket. I'm lame. You're right. You're right, Hardware Hacker. That is kind of lame. I mean, I'm also kind of thinking that, honestly, they might have... okay, maybe I can see why they put the drive connectors as different colors to help you plug in drives, but quite honestly, I think they should have maybe gotten purple SATA headers, too. Just because... why not a purple AGP? And Jack says they spent all their money on Acrobat certification. Yeah. Anyways, yep, this is for the Mad Dog build. It's like the backup board. If I don't need it as a backup board, I have enough socket A processors that it still might be handy to have another board for testing things. So, yeah, this is kind of like the tail end of what I consider channel worthy, because this is kind of what was out when I was in college. But anyways, to finish my statement on Dragon boards that go for stupid money, the Pentium 4 Soyo Dragon boards, like the ones for socket 478 that take DDR memory, those go for ridiculous money when they show up on eBay, because it's like everyone wants them. And here's the ironic thing. I think I had a Soyo Dragon board, or at least I thought I did. I went through emails this past weekend, and I am kind of doubting that I correctly remembered which socket 478 motherboard I bought before switching to Mac. But anyways, I thought I had a Soyo Dragon socket 478 board. The one that goes for crazy money on eBay. And I actually... there were two things... there were probably two significant reasons why I switched to Mac in 2002 from PC. And reason number one was the Pentium 4 sucked. It was awful. I had I think the 2.8 gigahertz Pentium 4 for socket 478, and my G3, my Beige Tower G3, running at like somewhere around 300 megahertz. I don't remember exact speed of it. Might have been 266. It might have been 300. I don't think it was a 333. That G3 ran circles around my Pentium 4 if I ran like the same tasks. It was embarrassing. And then the other thing was that Soyo motherboard was awful. I set up a RAID 0. Or no, RAID 1. I think it was mirroring. I set up a mirrored RAID because I got into this thing of hard drives are unreliable. I want a mirrored RAID in case one drive fails. The RAID controller was corrupting data. Like, oh, Hardware Hacker says the USB header plastics aren't purple either. Yeah, another thing they missed. Yep. Yeah, RAID 1 is mirrored. The RAID controller on that board was corrupting data. Maybe Soyo eventually fixed it in a firmware update, but I was like, it was corrupting data. The G3 was running circles around my Pentium 4. Yeah, I sold my Pentium 4 and bought a mirrored drive door Power Mac G4. was the first brand new Mac that I bought. Mirror drive door, FireWire 800 model. Was the 1.25 gigahertz dual processor. That was an awesome machine. And I am happy to say that Thursday's stream, that machine will finally make its YouTube debut. I've actually had that machine for 6 or 7 years. The repurchase of it, not the original one. I sold the original one I had back in like 2005 so I could buy a G5 or somewhere around there. I sold it to buy a G5, which was an awful decision. I should have just kept the G4 because that G4 was an awesome computer, and that computer would have lasted me another couple years. But of course, younger me wanted the fastest, hottest thing. Yeah, it was the hottest thing, quite literally. It was the hottest thing. Yeah, I should have kept the G4. The G5 was the hottest thing, literally. Like, number one hottest thing in the universe, the sun. The second hottest thing in the universe, a G5, a Power Mac G5. Like, Sadback says, quite literally. Yeah. Yeah, Socket Wrench says, if I recall, the P4 had a bunch of bad architectural decisions in it. The P5 extended the P3 architecture instead. Yes. That was probably why the Pentium 4's performance was awful, and I switched to Mac because Intel blundered. But anyways, so it's not my original Power Mac G4 FireWire 800, but it's one I bought like 6 or 7 years ago when I found one. I've made it as close to my configuration as I could. It's got the 2 gigs of RAM like I had in mind because I'd upgraded it all the way. I've got a Radeon 9700 Pro card in it. Now, the one I have now, it's a flashed PC card because the actual Apple card is unobtainium, or you're going to pay big money for it. So it's a flashed PC card in the one I have now, but it is still a 9700 Pro, which is, I upgraded. I bought a 9700 Pro at some point after I'd bought the Mac. Probably the best video card you can have for those mirror drive door FireWire 800s. Short of getting the 9800 Mac edition or modifying a G5 card or something to put in it. But anyways, that computer will finally make its YouTube debut on Thursday, assuming no one schedules a meeting over top my live stream or something silly like that. And I'm going to kind of I'm going to hold what we're going to do to it kind of a little secret until we open the potential regrets for it upstairs. Or at least one of the items that I have to open is for that computer if it's compatible. Anyways, that's what we're going to look at Thursday is my G4 FireWire 800. I think those were really cool computers. It was the Mac. It was not my first Mac that I had purchased, but it was my first new Mac that I had purchased. In fact, I bought it from, I forget the name of the seller now. It was this, place in, I want to say Oregon. I could be wrong. I think they were on the West Coast. They advertised a lot in Macintosh magazines. They had a website. For some reason, I want to say Small Dog Systems, but that doesn't sound right. But yeah, I remember when I finally decided I was going to break down and buy it, I called them up. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I called them up because they had phone sales. Yeah, I called them up and Cup Bump says Mad Dog. Nope, it wasn't Mad Dog. Anyways, yeah, I call them up. I order my G4. And I did order a monitor with it. It was a used monitor. I did return the monitor. I decided that I liked other options better. Luckily, they had a good return policy on their used equipment. I mean, I'm sure I could have returned the Mac too. I think they had a decent return policy on it, but the Mac was great. I just didn't like the monitor that I bought with it. So, but yeah, I remember calling them up, ordering it. It arrived in about a week, and I've been using Macs ever since. But yeah, I should have kept that Mac instead of buying a G5. That is like, if I could go back in time and fix one computer purchasing blunder, it would be selling that computer to buy a G5. I would go back in time and tell myself to just keep the G4. And why not just keep it even after it's obsolete? Just remove the battery. Silly. Now, fortunately, I will say though, Apple did redeem themselves when they switched to Intel, and I can't say that I was necessarily happy with some of the early Intel Macs, but the one kind of probably my next significant Mac purchase would have been when I bought my first Mac Pro. I bought it brand new. Like I called Apple up to order it like the first day you could order them. Of the 2010 Mac Pros. That was a very nice Mac Pro. That lasted me. Yeah, I had that thing for a while. That was an awesome machine. Of course, now it seems like everything Apple makes is small. Now it seems like you want the smallest Mac, not the largest Mac. But anyways, yep, that's my kind of short story on the Mac we're going to look at on Thursday. So, only 9:30. Awesome. All right, I think I have opened everything that was. I'm trying to make sure I didn't have anything else that I set to the side to open. All right, I think that is everything that I had open in that volley. I do have a few more things that if we have a second round of eBay regrets, then we may have a round 2, depending on how long it takes us to put the PlayStation 2 back together. Because the thing is, I'm trying to remember where I put it. I had to put it somewhere. Oh, I see where it is. It's blending in where it's at. So let me just go grab the PlayStation 2 and we'll go from there. So I've got 2 games and a controller, and there's a reason why I brought 2 games downstairs. But we are going to have to, after we do a little bit of testing, we are going to have to disassemble this partially because I think I realized I have a screw. There is a screw in this bag that I believe should have already been installed. So we will have to. Do I have Beautiful Joe? No, I do not have that game. Instead, we will have to use these 2 games. Also, Final Fantasy VII, we can try it too. So, I have Gauntlet Dark Legacy. This is my current favorite game for the PlayStation 2. I have played this a lot. Sadly, this is not where my memory card is hiding. But this is a CD-based game. So this game will not play if the CD laser is not working. My PlayStation 2 Slim will not read this disc. So at some point I'm going to have to fix it. Sylvestron says, I need Burnout 3. All right, I guess I'm going to have to create a list of games that I need to find. And then I have Mega Man Anniversary Collection that apparently came from GameStop. Shame on them putting the label on the actual paper thing. But this is a DVD game. So this game will not play if the DVD laser is not working. My PlayStation Slim will read this disc. So I do know there are 2 potentiometers on the laser. So it's possible that if I'd go and adjust the CD laser on my PlayStation Slim, or maybe just clean the lens. The lens might be dirty, although I thought I already tried that, but maybe I haven't. So first I need to try to clean the lens of my PlayStation 2 Slim, and if that doesn't work, then I may need to try adjusting the potentiometer for the lens for the CD laser. And if that doesn't work, I'll just have to get a new laser assembly. But we got to see if this one works. So, all right. The embarrassing thing is, after the last live stream we looked at this, I think I had mentioned during the live stream that I did not have an AV cable for the PlayStation 2 downstairs. And the embarrassing thing is, I did have an AV cable down here the whole time, and I just didn't realize it. Although, I guess I was technically correct in that I did not have a controller downstairs, and that I did not have a PlayStation 2 controller downstairs. But I was also half wrong there, because while I did not have a PlayStation 2 controller downstairs, you can totally use a PlayStation 1 controller with a PlayStation 2. You will just not have Rumble. Oh, cool. That'll be awesome. Hardware Hacker was going to loan me Xenogears so I can try it. All right. If you find it, yes, of course. All right, so I have the AV cable plugged in. I am going to see if I can find the power cable, which probably is already... All right. Also, I will now give my disclaimer that you don't want to there's high voltages somewhere in here. I'm not responsible if you manage to find where those high voltages are. Viewer discretion is advised. Don't open these up if you don't know what you're doing. For entertainment purposes only. Blah, 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 blah. All the usual YouTube disclaimers. Let me go plug in the AV cable. I will say, if anyone's wondering, at least on this revision, the AC wiring does appear to not be directly contactable here, but your mileage may vary. All right. So I have turned on the power switch on the back, and we do have the power button illuminated. So if I hit this, it turns green. And that should mean we have, there we go, Sony Computer Entertainment. And because I haven't installed a disk, we go to the browser. Let me turn it off. Although I'm pretty sure plugging the controller in while it's on is probably possibly not going to do anything bad. plug a controller in, turn it back on. Yeah, Harder Hacker says, basically, Justin is not responsible for any electrocutions resulting from touching things you shouldn't touch on the board. Yeah, exactly. Tadmax says, obligatory stream intended for entertainment. If you follow along, you're doing so at your own risk. Disclaimer, yes. All right, so let's go system configuration. Let's go ahead and set the clock here. Hold on, clock adjustment. Oh, there we go. Okay, 3. So it is 310. Remember, I replaced the coin cell battery. And it is 9:38. All right, that looks good. We'll call it that. All right, screen size. Actually, I am going to try to set that to 16:9 because I think that is the correct setting. Component out. All right, yep. I think that's the correct setting. English. All right. Oh, yeah. You can turn it to just like the display there. All right. It's actually scalar. Oh, I was right. Let's see here. Picture mode. Scale. Oh, there we go. Actually, no. Full. There we go. Yeah, all right. That's why it wasn't showing in 16:9. All right, so I am going to eject the disc. Since I've got a new belt in it, the disc works beautifully. Since I am Justin DVD Morgan on certain social media platforms, I am going to try the DVD-based game first. So that will be Mega Man Anniversary Collection. I do not have sound hooked up. You can blame Universal Music Group for that. And there we go. We got the PlayStation 2 logo. And Capcom. Atomic Planet Entertainment Limited. Warning, Mega Man Anniversary Collection uses an autosave feature. Insertion of... Well, I'm glad I didn't need to read that disclaimer. No, don't. Harder Hacker says no need to mute after the PlayStation sound. Well, I don't have speakers hooked up to it. I would be fine after the PlayStation sound, theoretically. But it does look like... I'm not a huge fan of their menu system. Running between doors. 186 kilobytes, says Sylvestron. Who even has that free space? Yeah. Admex says there's really no, quote, audio claimed is not what you identified it as option in disputing content ID. There is not. Good night, Francois. All right, it's so far looking like what I expect. Oh, I don't have this plugged into a TV. I've got it plugged into a scaler, which doesn't. I don't have audio out on it. I've got to fix that. That's on my list of things to try to fix so that the scaler can capture audio. All right. Well, anyways, I wasn't going to play test now. All right. So, DVDs are reading. What about CDs? Yeah, this one would probably be even safer because I don't know if Midway Games is even. Well, actually, I think they might still be around. All right, I think that's a good sign. No, it is not. Ooh, okay. Oh, you know. All right, let's try that again. All right, the disc spun up. And it finally stopped spinning. All right, I don't think I can read. Okay, let's try something. I did not. All right, so there is a chance. There is actually a chance that my Gauntlet Dark Legacy disc is the problem. Although it looks fine, but the fact is it's got a blue coating on it. So if it were delaminating or like if it had disc rot, I might never be able to see it. But I do know my Final Fantasy VII disc is readable, and the PlayStation 2 is backwards compatible. So let's see if it reads this disc. Oh, that's sad. And there we go. Sony Computer Entertainment of America. So my PlayStation 2 Slim might actually be fine. It might be my Gauntlet Dark Legacy disc, which is a CD. But I mean, CDs can have disc rot too. And the thing is, with this blue coating, I probably would never. I would have a hard time seeing it. Tadmax says, honestly tells me I'm not missing much of anything not having PS2 compatibility then. Yeah. Hi, Retro Techie, welcome. Yes, we are testing this PlayStation 2 before I put it back together. Hi, Mega, welcome. Unfortunately, my Gauntlet Dark Legacy disc is not working. I wonder. Alright, I'm curious. While we wait for this animation, I am going to... Let me pull out my microscope. So, there's the center ring. Oh wow, this is reflective as... Oh, this is going to be hard to look at. Okay, there we go. There's the... Trying to figure out what I'm actually... Where the focus point is. So there's the... There's the center ring. To see if I can see any, like, date codes or something on it. Alright, I can tell you the surface of the disc is grimy. Maybe I should try cleaning it. Alright, but anyways, alright, haven't quite turned it around. But for science, if I can see a date code on the data here, ETRM 000735, that's probably a disc number 2. Alright, I'm not sure there's a date code marked there. Oh, that's cool though. It looks like there is a PlayStation logo engraved on the very inside. Or a PlayStation logo in the... There we go. That's going to be on the very inner part of the disc. PlayStation 2. Wonder if that's... Oh, maybe this is where what I'm looking for was. No, that's just PlayStation. Alright. So let's see if we can't see the... Well, that doesn't... Alright, you see that change in color there? Oh, yeah, I put my hand on... Ooh. Alright, either I am seeing a shadow of whatever is on the backside of this disc, or... That that doesn't look... That doesn't look like a normal... I don't think a disc should look like that. See those blue swirling patterns? I think this disc may have disc rot. because what's on the other side of that disc? I don't. Yeah, it looks like what was on the other side of the disc where I was holding it. Let me go to me cam. So we were looking at the disc in this area, but it looks like there's a coating underneath the color in the silkscreen. So I don't think we were looking at the pattern coming from the top of the disc. So I'm going to turn the disc 180 degrees, and let's see what the disc looks like on that side to see if it's equally as bad, because that would probably confirm that we really were looking at something up with the disc. I gotta hold it at just the right, and not like seeing a reflection of the silkscreen on the other side. Although the thing is, even if the disc was rotting in one spot, that would be enough for it to not be readable. So I am kind of inclined to believe that maybe this disc has rotted, and I will just have to go look to see if I have a backup copy of it. Whether that backup copy might be called eBay, or maybe by some chance I happen to have a second copy. Well, we'll see. But it definitely did look like somewhere in this area of the disc, yeah. There is definitely something up with the disc on this one side. I don't know that it's... Yeah, it looks like it's limited to a part of the disc, but that would be enough for it to not be readable. So Mega says, I'll send you mine. Awesome. Yeah, I think this disc is rotted. So I guess the good news is I don't have to repair anything on my Slim. But the bad news is, yeah, all right. But it does look like my PlayStation 2 is reading this PlayStation 1 game just fine. And it is a CD game, so... we can finish putting it back together. Sylvestron says, that looks like it was frozen at some point. Yeah, Sadmax says, bad news is a disc issue, yeah. That is... Well, I mean, I guess at least the one thing is, I did get some good gameplay out of that disc. Somewhere I've got a game save, because I did beat the game with one of the characters, so someday I do want to go back and try one of the other characters to play through it again. Yeah, it did serve me well. I enjoy that game. Maybe it wasn't probably a chart-topping game, but hey, it's fun. And I think it does... Oh, okay, it supports 2 players. I was thinking for some reason it might support 4 players, but... Oh, no, it does support 4 players with the multi-tap. And I actually have a multi-tap for one of my... I do have a multi-tap somewhere. So, yeah, it's actually one game that you can play with 4 players. and it's cool. You're playing with 4 players, but it's cooperative. So you're all going through the level together. So it's not like 4-player and everyone gets a quarter of the screen. It's 4 players and it's full screen because you're all going through the level together and fighting through the levels together. So it's pretty cool. All right, so let's get to the PlayStation 2 reassembly. Because as you can see, this button piece here attaches to the top lid. I'm hoping that's not where I don't think that's where the screw that I forgot to put in goes. But anyways, in this bag, I have a little screw that I'm kind of concerned actually was supposed to go somewhere on the motherboard. So I'm going to see if I can't. I think what I'm going to do here real quick, I don't think it'll take too long. I am going to try to remove this from the bottom case, which I don't think it'll be too hard. Because it's not screwed. I think there's like 2 clips holding it in. And I want to check to make sure I didn't forget to put a screw in on the bottom. Retro Techie says, install PSBBN, no need for discs. I'll have to check that out. I will have to check that out. For now, though, I'm going to continue putting it together. But I have to say, that may be an option I might look into for one of these. That certainly would make it easier. Especially if it happened that maybe my Slim actually isn't reading discs. Alright, so now I definitely want to be careful because the power supply has been recently operated. Although to discharge the caps, I will turn the power switch on with nothing connected. Yes, the bonus software, yes. Thank you, Sad Mac. Retro Techie says, load up your legally obtained games from an SSD. Alright. I'm basically looking, I'm trying to see if I did forget to put a screw in. If I see any obvious place where there's like a screw hole and no screw. Because I have a glue it together like an iPhone. Sylvester is asking, do you plan to have that PS2 mounted flat or upright? I am probably going to set it flat. Because I do not have that overpriced piece of plastic that holds it stable for upright. And quite honestly, I'm just thinking I'll set it flat. Oh, Sylvester says then you must rotate the PS logo on the drive. It's the law. Oh yes, that is right. These PlayStations have a the PlayStation logo on the disc tray rotates so that if you were using the stand, then you can rotate it. I will have to show you that. I mean, in reality, if you don't turn it, it's not like the system knows that you're violating the Sony's trademark, and their IP lawyers aren't actually going to come get you. Or will they? Alright, so let's see if I can spot the location where I think the screw that I forgot to put in might go. So, I don't think... And to help me with that, I did make a video that I may have to play. Sadmax says. Sylvester says, no, it's illegal. Sadmax says, it's only going to annoy people online, at least so far as I know. Oh, I'm pretty sure Sony would say it's illegal. Because it's their trademark, and it's got to be right set up, and that's that. So I made a video, which currently I think is unlisted because I thought it would be cool for boring for most people. In fact, it has one view. I was trying not to yeah, I don't need the musical track while I watch this. All right, we will mute that. But anyways, so I made a video. Oh, hold on. I made a video, which we are looking at now. You might not be able to tell because it kind of looks like my desk. I obviously didn't make any effort to clean my desk when I made the original live stream. Though you probably will notice the coffee gold just suddenly changed. In case you didn't notice, I'll so this is actually my workbench tonight, and that's the video I made. See. Anyways, I took the live stream where I disassembled this PlayStation 2. I put the footage into a video editing software, trimmed off the parts that weren't me disassembling the PlayStation 2, put some music behind it. I think I sped it up 200% because it was kind of slow otherwise. And yeah, and reversed the footage. So it's actually, yeah, it's me putting it, it's essentially me putting it back together, but it's backwards of me disassembling it, if you get my drift. So anyways, I wanted to kind of see where the little screws went. So let's you know, I could have, if I thought about it, I would have brought the video file into OBS, but that's okay. I'll just do share screen. All right, so there's me. You can tell it's also the original footage because there's the original PlayStation battery. Yes, Sony had the PlayStation logo etched into the battery they put in the PlayStation 2, despite the fact that most users would probably not see that battery in the lifetime of the system. Haha, Sony, my PlayStation 2 still works. Alright, so there's the power supply. It's not a perfect reassembly, disassembly, because it looks like I was measuring some caps. Anyways, let's. All right, so let me see. So it looks like okay. All right, so I put a screw in. Oh, that might be the screw that. Oh, no, that is not the screw I was looking for where it went. But I did forget to put that screw in. It does look like there was supposed to be a screw here. And I did forget to put that screw in, so... Unfortunately, from the video, I can't tell which screw I put there, or took out of there. Let me see if I... Let me rewind it a little bit and watch myself pick the screw up off the table again. And... It was... Which one did I... Ah! Alright, so I picked up what I believe is... I think it was one of these screws here. No, it was not that screw. Oh, you know... Is there another... Hold on. Is there another screw? No, that's the only threaded... Hold on, let me make sure that's where I actually put the screw. Yep. It's the screw that goes there. And let me see if I can find it. Oh, you know, maybe I might have actually been right the first time. Oh, there it is. Okay, got it. That was the right screw. The threads were just further in than I thought they were. All right, so there's one of the screws that I forgot to put back in. All right. So now oh, let me go back to screen share. All right. So let's see here. There should be two screws on that side. I'm going to pause it for a moment while I check. I'm going to flip it over so I can see those screws. Okay, I did put screws there. And I think there are, oh. Aha! I think there's the screw. Ah, okay. there's the... All right, that would have taken me, I don't know how long to figure out where the screw goes. If I hadn't done that, but there's the other screw that I forgot to put in. Right there. Interestingly enough, I think it looks like a screw should go there too. But as far as I can tell... Oh, actually, I think there's... Yeah. There we go. I forgot to put those two screws in. There actually were two extra screws, and they go there and there. All right. So, I think now I have put all the screws in on the bottom, but let's go back to screen share so I can confirm that I put... Oh, yep, there we go. There was that screw there. And, let's see, there's... Yeah, one there. And I put that one in last time. And that one I just put that one. Yep, I got those four. I think we're going... There's 3 and 4. Yeah, those 4 sandwich the... I think sandwich the heatsink down on the motherboard. I did get those. All right. All right. So let me go ahead and put the all right. So let's go ahead and put the plastic shield back on. I don't always make videos like this to help reassemble things, but when I do, it's probably because the iFixit guide is for a slightly different revision of the one I own. And then there's that tray that kind of snaps on. All right. Oh, and let me show the... So we're going to play this back. And then I think if I can pan a little, we plug the power supply back in. There's me showing off its quirks and features. Come on, Justin. Put the power supply back on. Come on. Stop rotating it like it's art. There we go. And put it back on so that we can go back to reassembly and... All right, put this on. Hi, Dave. Welcome. We are going between me playing the disassembly footage backwards and me reassembling forwards. No, I think I had that right the first time. There we go. So we put that on, and then the power supply slips on. Should slip on. Oh, I'll unplug the power connector or the power plug. That'll help reassembly. So there's that. And now I'll put these screws back in. All right. No magic smoke, Thomas. It works, and I've confirmed that it will play CDs and DVDs. I've also confirmed my Gauntlet Dark Legacy disc has rotted since last time I played it, so... I should attach it to my wall. uh... And now for my next trick, I'm going to... I will suspend the PlayStation 2 underneath my bed. Don't do that. Because in case of earthquakes, that could hurt. Alright, let's go back to screen share here. I wish Past Me had zoomed in a little while I was disassembling this. But maybe I'm just advertising that we will look at the Genesis again sometime. Did I find the big cap? I found one that was as close as I could get, but I can't find an exact replacement. Retro Techie says they have mounts for modern consoles to strap them to the wall. That does not surprise me. All right, so I flip it over. All right, and I think this is where we can put it back in the case, I think. Yeah, that does not surprise me at all that they would have... Alright, so let's... carefully flip this over. Because I think now we have actually put everything... I'm pretty sure we have all the screws in now, although I do... Oh, yeah, I do need to plug the AC cord back in, though. No, I didn't put liquid metal in it to cool it. In fact, actually, the original thermal pads were actually good. So I did not... I did not actually change them out, because they were still pliable. That, and I don't have any thermal pads. Oh, I forgot to go back to live view. Sorry about that. Alright. So there's me putting it back in the shell. Alright. And let's see here. Alright, so let's go back to live view. Liquid metal would be better. You know, I know there are some people that are liquid metal all the things, and I'm quite honestly in camp. I don't like liquid metal because it's like a Terminator for your electronics as it slowly makes its way out of its designated liquid metal area and into other parts of your electronics. Maybe for stationary items it's fine, but whoever thought that putting liquid metal in a laptop was a good idea, maybe a good idea for them selling you new laptops when the liquid metal eventually makes its way out of the where it's supposed to stay. I guess I watched too many videos from there's a repair guy that repairs Dell laptops. Dell and Alienware laptops, and I so often... It seems like every couple of videos the problem is liquid metal. liquid metal has escaped like a Terminator T-3000 and is now wreaking havoc inside the machine. Sylvestron says the increasing number of failing PS5s is evidence of how bad liquid metal is too. Thomas Armstrong says, I like my old thermal cement. Megaphile. We'll have to get to the Megaphile. Yeah, we'll have to get back to the Megaphile soon. I need to recap its power supply. Or actually, no, I did recap its power supply, I think. Or thermoplaster. No, I got to recap its power supply. I think that's where it's at. All right, so I think I've got everything back together again to where I had it before we started today, except that the 3 screws that I forgot to put in are now in. So let's go back to screen share. And all right. So I've got that ribbon cable. That's attached, so I don't have to worry about that. I'm not going to attach it to the front face until I'm ready to put that back on. I think there may be a screw that holds that in. Or actually, it may be friction fit. All right, so looking at the screws that I have left over, I think there's going to be like, I'm thinking that there's like 2 screws holding the ports on the front and 2 screws that hold the fan in the back. And then I think the rest of the screws I have are actually the ones that hold the case together. So I think it's just a matter of waiting for me to get there. Oh, there's me inspecting the drive. Let me see if I can skip past that, because I've got the drive back together. For anyone that wonders, I did have to replace the belt on the drive. But it ejects and oh, you know, I just realized the logo is turned wrong on the console. There, I fixed it. So now when I show the optical drive door next, it will be Sony compliant. All right, so hold on. I think up. Okay. All right. I think one of the screws goes. All right, one of the screws that I have here goes here. One. Oh, I don't think it's actually that screw. I think it is. Might actually be this screw. Doesn't feel right. All right, hold on. Let's go back to the video so I can see if I can try to tell which screw I just put in. All right. Let's step by frame here. All right, there's me. Sylvester Thomas says, like all the Sony Trinitron TVs used in movies have the logo blacked out. Sylvester says, same with Apple logos on MacBooks. Also, fun fact, Apple will never let a villain hold an iPhone, so if you see someone with an Android, yeah, yeah, the hero's got to be the one that holds the iPhone. Or if they have an Apple laptop, I think it has to be the hero with the laptop. So, unfortunately, that means that, of course, the PowerBook was going to be used by the heroes in Independence Day to upload the virus to the alien ship. Now, if it had been a PC laptop, well, they would have failed. All right, so I am grabbing. Oh, I am grabbing one of those two screws. Okay. All right. And I put the screw, if I can tell which screw hole. Right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, Sadbeck says I don't necessarily have a problem with liquid metal thermally so much as when it escapes containment. Yes. All right. So there's that screw. And then I think the other screw goes back over here to hold the fan in. I think we might have to wait for the video. All right, so let me just let that go. There's the fan. All right, do I grab a screw? Okay, I think I do see. All right, Mike says, but in the movie, it was just unbelievable. Even if you doubled up on the suspension of reality, yeah. Okay, that's not the right screw. Alright, I think these screws... Alright, I think that screw goes there. And there. Oh, you can't see the... These two screws hold the ports on. And then I believe there's one screw that goes here. Hold the fan in. All right. Now I have 4 long screws and 4 short screws. I think there are 4 screws that go in through the bottom. 6 screws go in through the bottom, and okay, one of them holds the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. One of them holds the buttons on, so I think I've got one more screw somewhere. So I'm going to play this back some more. So there's me screwing in the screws for the ports. One, two, yeah, 3, 4. Sylvester says, I guess that means Firewire is an alien connection protocol as well. All right, come on. Let's see here. Somewhere, I think I've got a screw. Oh, I bet I know where the screw is. Okay. So one of them holds this switch on the top. There's 6 screws that hold it together. I want to say the last screw that I don't know where it goes is... All right, so... Oh, that's why I have miscounted. Because there's another screw on... yeah, there's 1, 2... Those are short screws. And then... 3... 4... 5... All right. Go back to table cam. I think somewhere I think I may have, I think there may be one more screw here than I see. All right, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4. We got 4 long screws. And I have 4 short screws. 5, 6, 7, 8. And then I have the plastic covers. And this button board sure looks like it has a screw that's supposed to hold it in. But I could be wrong on that part. I could be wrong on that part. Let's see here. So this button board oh, first of all, it does help to reassemble it right side up. Oh, I know why it looks like there's a screw that holds this together. I think there is a screw that holds it together, but it goes in through the bottom of the case. And get the there we go. There's that, and I think yeah, there we go. So the button, so these two are short screws. I know, and I think this screw here also holds the buttons in. There's that, and then this one here. I don't have any spare screws or extra screws. There's those two. Now, there's 2 more short screws and 4 long screws, and I want to say that that is one of the long screws, and that is one of the long screws, and that is one of the long screws. That is one of the long screws, and I think these 2 are short ones. Thomas is asking, will there be a PS3? No, I do have a PS3. It probably needs a new clock battery, but I'm not going. It's too new for my channel. I probably should replace its clock battery, but Yeah, iFixit has a good teardown guide, but there's some differences between the revision I have and at least the teardown guide that I found. That's not to say that they don't have one for this model. I didn't find it for some reason. It was there were some differences between the one that I found and this one, so that's why I bothered reversing the video. So, I guess the summary of what was wrong with this PlayStation 2, really the only thing wrong with it was it needed a belt. But I recapped the power supply, so it should be good to go. I probably refurbed it better than GameStop did. Alright, so let me put the rubber feet back on. Some of these are kind of a more rubbery foot type appearance, and some of these are plastic. And I think... Oh, that's probably why I only have... Oh, I think some of the rubber ones were missing for mine. I think these two here are the plastic ones, and these two here are plastic ones. And yeah, these four get a rubber one, but this console was missing two of them when I got it, so I will probably have to get some replacement feet. Yeah. So there we go. I avoided the GameStop warranty, but oh. There we go. There we go. It's beautiful. It's a little worn, but there we go. It's an SCPH-39001 NTSC. And yeah, I could 3D print some rubber ones if I had the right filament, which at the moment I don't, but maybe that's my excuse to buy a spool of the TPU filament. That is right, I could 3D print all the ones I want. I'm fairly sure someone out there would have had to have made a model. Alright, so let's go ahead and power this back on. There we go, we got the light, and if I hit the power, I hear the fan. It's whirring and churring, and we got capture, and there we go. There we go. My PlayStation 2 Fat is back together and ready to play games. And there we go. I did, Sylvestron, you'll be happy to note that I did flip the PlayStation logo the right side up for setting it flat. And there we go. Sylvestron says, thank you very much. Yes, alright. I did see that I did forget to dust the grill there on the front, and there is a little if I can find, oh, there we go, shop towels. Let me at least take a little wipe of some of that dirt off the outside of the case. I probably should have done that while I had it disassembled, but busy. So if you like it when I get these old game consoles back together with no spare screws, don't forget to smash that like button. And if you're not already subscribed, go ahead and smash that subscribe button. And turn on notifications so you know when I go live next, because I have some other game consoles that'll need to be repaired. So I might actually have to. Actually, that's the better case. This isn't really that bad, given the fact that I think someone spilled a soda that kind of crept into the bottom of it. Thomas is asking, what's the first game to test? Well, I wasn't really planning on playing games tonight because my scaler adds latency and that causes problems. But I did test. I did make sure it could read Final Fantasy VII and Mega Man, because this is a CD and then this is a DVD. Unfortunately, my Gauntlet Dark Legacy game, the disc has rot, so yeah, time to hunt down a PS2 Linux kit. Yeah, I think I will have to try to find one of those. That is something I could totally get behind if I could find one. So yeah, if you'd like to see me find the Linux kit for a PlayStation 2 and give that a try, then definitely subscribe and turn on notifications and tell a friend and have them do the same. Yeah, they're rare and expensive, so I also will probably need a few more. I'll need a few more coffees, that's for sure. But yes, you can see my coffee goal is called Viewers Like You because I couldn't come up with a catchier name. And that is, I don't have sponsors except you all. And while I won't say that I will never have a sponsored video, I would like to try to hold myself to high standards of who sponsors a video, and would like to at least make sure that if I do have a sponsor, that they make sense on the video. So no breaking out to a random factor meal in a basement that has no microwave or sink, or no I don't know. I'm running out of items that are just would be weird for me to be hawking. No VPN products that. Sadback says those are really only funny when Aging Wheels does it. Yeah, I know. Yeah, there will be no me having the perfect segue to our sponsor, My Wallet. And no, that's not some fancy new wallet company. Oh, there we go. I think I got the gram out of the PlayStation 2 embossed logo. Look at that. I guess maybe I should at least... Let me grab one more paper towel and lightly wet it with Windex and... Yeah, no random Hungry Root commercial and watching me cook the Hungry Root meal with the tools on my workbench. I don't think they would like that anyways. Yeah, don't cook your lunch with your soldering tools. That does not end well. Yeah, no Cartier watch ads. No no personal grooming ads for products that I could not tell my mom that I bought with a straight face. Tools that you could use for repairing vintage computers, yeah, that would kind of be like those. Those I think would add value. Um, and possibly I could do a sponsored PCB project, but I'm not going to go out of my way to find a project. And I would want to at least it be a time when someone could actually um, practically do it. If I don't want to order PCBs for various reasons, then yeah, I'm not going to force a project upon the channel to have someone else want to order PCBs. So there's that. I just haven't had a PCB related project to do in a while. I should change that, but anyways, so there's my PlayStation 2. So I guess we'll do one last power up. Now that I kind of wiped it off, degrimed it. For anyone that joined kind of late. There we go. Yep, I guess I did all right. I'll actually plug a controller in. So this game console will join my PlayStation Slim upstairs. But I kind of think this one might be the one I leave out for my game room. My like game room guest bedroom. Only because it's kind of the PlayStation that's in worseware, if you know what I mean. Not that it's really bad, but my PlayStation Slim I may put somewhere where I might take advantage of its DVD playing capabilities, because it's kind of small and neat like that. All right, we'll turn it on. I do not have sound hooked up. I am not concerned that it has no sound, but has video. And this is just the composite video cable, so it is the crummiest of the video. So we will, just for anyone that didn't see earlier, I'll first put a DVD in. It's a DVD video, DVD game. I don't know why it took so long to read, but whatever. I don't know if this is supposed to, like, mimic the minions, because those little yellow miners kind of remind me of minions for some reason. Alright, we can skip that. I have misplaced my memory card, so I'll have to find it, but alright, but we are it looks like it is working. The controller, at least the controller input 1 is working. We're loading games. It does kind of seem, does look a little weird playing these in widescreen, but And I'm just trying to show you that the system's working. Oh, that's right. Mega Man, if you go back and then... Oh, yeah, I know I'm doing horribly. All right, anyways, it works. I think that's enough. Quite honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if it nearly loads that game into memory, because, yeah, I've ejected the disc and it still hasn't, like, gone to a please reinsert disc mode. All right, so I just put a CD in. I'll show you that it loads a CD game. The cool thing about the PlayStation 2 is it's backwards compatible. And in fact, it actually has the processor from the PlayStation 1 in it. In fact, I think the PlayStation 1 processor does I/O duties when you're playing PlayStation 2 games. And yes, if anyone's wondering, I do have Final Fantasy VII, um, was it remaster or whatever they called it for PlayStation 4. I'm torn. If I had to give my opinion of the two, I am kind of torn because the original is what I grew up with and enjoyed playing back then. The remaster, the graphics look great. They did change the storyline though, which is kind of their prerogative. And I'm not necessarily saying the changes they made, at least as far as I've played into it right now. I'm not necessarily saying the story change is bad. It just it seems like it's a I don't know. I don't want to spoil it, although it's so short into the game on the remaster, it's probably hardly a spoiler. It's probably minor in relation. Actually, um, yeah, if just plug your ears for 10 seconds if you don't want me to spoil it. If you don't want to hear the spoiler. But yeah, the remaster makes it seem like they're completely unsuccessful in their sabotage attempt, and that the owners of the company do it for them. Which I'm like, come on, it's like a Han shot first moment. All right, gripe over. But I'm kind of torn about it though because it is an interesting take on the storyline. That's why I'm torn on. I'm sure as I play into it because I don't really get much time to play video games, so I'm sure as I play into it more, maybe I might like the changes they made to the storyline. Hey, Lazy Bite Boy, welcome. We're just testing my PlayStation 2 with the PlayStation 1 game. Because that's the best way to know that your CD laser is working. But I think that's kind of Lazy Bite Boy says doing a level 99 without leaving challenge. Lol. Yeah. All right. I think we're working. I don't think there's any need of me playing this any further. All right. So I got it back together. No extra screws. And no like places where I think a screw should have gone and I didn't have one. So I got it all the way back together. So if you are one of my Coffee or Patreon supporters, you can go watch the or YouTube channel supporters. I should be for you too. I do have that unlisted video that you can watch if you want to watch the video I made to help me reassemble this PlayStation 2. It's basically my disassembly played backwards at 200 speed or at 200% speed with a music track. So yeah, it's fixed. And it looks pretty good with a little wipe down. So yeah, I'll have to let them know at Super Bit that I did get one of the consoles fixed, because I bought a. This was one of the broken consoles I bought from there. I'll have to let them know next time I'm in that I did get it. I did get it fixed and back together, and it works great. Yeah, greatest hits copy. You know, at one point I was a snob and I didn't want greatest hits, but now that we're in 2026 and the non-greatest hits version of some of these games are like super duper expensive, I will take this happily, and I'll just remember that I did not spend silly money for a game that I'm buying because I want to play it, not because I'm not. Because the thing is, these games I usually buy them because I want to play them, not because I'm trying to collect them. Yeah, Lazy Bite Boy says, yeah, exactly, Legend of Dragoon for me. Yep. So, yeah, I bought this. I mean, it was nice that I had the manual, just so if I needed to refer to it, not that I can't look it up online. But, yeah, the jewel case is cracked. It's a greatest hits, but it had all the discs and they're in decent shape. Mega Man, actually, I think I actually might have picked this up at GameStop. I think that's why there's a GameStop label on it, because I might have actually bought this at GameStop. I don't remember. This, I think I bought on eBay a long time ago. I've had this game for a while. Unfortunately, the disc is rotted. So, yeah, they cracked just by picking them up. So, honestly, considering this one will still hold the discs, I'll call it good. Because at least, I mean, it holds the discs. Sadmax says, honestly, the fact that it had all the discs and they're in decent shape is a win. Yeah, I know. Because, okay, so I could maybe wash it a little because there is some dirt on it. But, okay, there's disc one. It's got a few light scratches, nothing bad. Although, and then, yep, disc two. Again, nothing really bad. In fact, yeah, even fewer light scratches. And actually, I'm kind of wondering if disc 3 on this one might be... I mean, there is a kind of a radial scratch on it, but I'm kind of wondering if that's just because someone spun it around in the jewel case. I don't know that one was hardly played at all. Yeah, roof reveal. Yeah, spoiler alert, there's insulation above me. Thomas says you can use CD jewel cases for parts. Yep. Sad Max says, I've ended up with half a copy of a game because one of the discs was in the console. The other disc, nobody knows. Yeah. All right. So we got this back together. And I am Regrets Part 2. Well, I was thinking of doing Regrets Part 2. Merchantosh. I'm actually kind of tempted to call the stream here because I'm still trying to catch up from the time change this weekend. So I don't really feel like dragging most of the second set of regrets downstairs. I think I'm going to call the stream because I would like to try to catch up once I'm starting to get tired at the time changes. I'm blaming the time change. All right. So I think I will call the stream here, but I will go ahead and for announcements. So Thursday, I'm pulling my mirror drive door Firewire 800 downstairs because it's going to be the star of the show. Hopefully it doesn't need any repairs, but I've got some goodies for it that came from eBay, so they could be potential regrets. So we'll see about that Thursday, and then so I will schedule that. Don't worry. The fact that I've got like the 2 streams scheduled in April, it's because I pushed them off for March and Tosh. So don't worry. Yeah, I know. Mirror drive door, good luck with that power supply. Yeah, it's quite possible the power supply may be no good. If the mirror drive door doesn't want to cooperate, I do have a couple other G4s we can put some of the goodies in to test them. But Hardware Hacker says eBay regrets plus Mac. But anyways, so that's Thursday, and then next week I think I want to start looking at some LC logic boards. But I do want to try those goodies for the G4 soon, so we'll do that on Thursday. So with that, I think I can call this a successful stream. I can take my PlayStation 2 upstairs. And yeah. With that, I'm going to go ahead and call the stream to a close. So with that, I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe and turn on notifications so you know when I go live next. And hope to see you here next time on Thursday. So take care and God bless. Computerized Start is brought to you by my awesome patrons on Patreon and by your tips and memberships on Ko-fi. These and other channel supporters make my live streams possible. You too can become a channel supporter with tiers starting at just $1. Don't forget to smash that like button. And if you've liked what you've seen, subscribe and turn on notifications so that you don't miss the next video or live stream. And as always, thank you for all your support. I hope to see you next time. And until then, take care